Hey everybody, welcome to Maple Masala. Welcome back, dear listeners, to another episode of Maple Masala. We're into episode 9 today, and the title of this episode is Sharing Harbours. Let me explain why I picked that title. Okay, so first of all, I hope you all are doing well, and I hope that you're listening to the episodes regularly. If you're not, then please do so. And if you know somebody that can benefit from this content, then please feel free to share this. Make sure that you're following the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you get the time or if you get the chance, please make sure to leave a review. I would be super grateful for that. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the room sharing experience in Canada. And not just in Canada, it's, I'm going to be sharing my personal experience, but we're just going to dive into this topic of how you have to make adjustments, not just the bigger ones, but even in the smaller aspects of life, as small as sharing your own personal space. I mean, even though it's you may say that it's a small topic, or it's a small aspect, but it really impacts us in our day-to-day lives. So yeah, we're just going to be diving into that. I'll share a few of my experiences, and if you guys have any, then please feel free to share it in the comments, or you can send me a personal message on Instagram. The handle is Maple Masala Podcast. You can also follow that page. So yeah, you can let me know about your stories, because I'm pretty sure the ones that can relate, we all have one bad story, or one interesting story, I should say, to share about this experience. So, okay, so my expectations were completely different than what actually happened in reality. When I was about to come to Canada, I didn't really look into this aspect. This aspect was something that I was least anticipating. I did not have any plans. I thought I was going to be having my own room, just like I did back home, and my own space. But that wasn't the case, unfortunately. I had to share my room, even though it wasn't too horrible. But yeah, I did have to share the space, and when I found out that I have to share my space, I was like, whoa, this is something that nobody prepared me for. 'Cause I did hear about sharing house, so I did know that you have to share your house, 'cause my cousins who were already outside of the country, they would tell me about their experiences, and so I was like, okay, that doesn't sound too bad. Maybe I can manage. Yeah. So, I did share this, my first room, I shared it with my, this girl, I still talk to her. She has been really helpful to me ever since I came here. She was here before me, so obviously she had more experience, and so she knew what to do and what not to do in order to get a job, or just life in general here in Canada. So yeah, she was really kind. She was really nice to me. And I can never forget the times that she helped me. She was really fantastic, and yeah, I did learn a lot from her. So the problem came when I found out that I had to share the house with 12 other people, including the basement. And the house had 2 washrooms, and there were 12 other people living. So yeah, it was a bit of a problem, just a little bit. Um, and I would have to, like, if somebody was running late for work and you have to use the washroom, you just have to wait for your turn. So the thing is, you find good people and you also find bad people. Well, I really don't want to say bad, but yeah, some experiences were really bad. Um, so with the other people living in there, um, as an 18-year-old, I had very little idea of what was about to come and the types of people that there are in this world. Because since childhood till the age of 18, I had only seen my friends. I never had to share my room except for my brother sometimes. Um, but yeah, so when I came here, all of those expectations suddenly changed, and everything was new. So yeah, okay, fine. The problem comes when I think you guys might have seen this on Instagram or YouTube. Um, people people share how their roommates or their housemates don't clean the dishes after using them, and then they kind of come in the way of other people. Like if I've seen some places where they even share the dishes, and it's like you have to wait for the other person. Like if the other person used your dishes and they didn't clean it, then you have to wait for them to clean it first, and then you start cooking. But if you can't wait, if you don't have time, then you have to clean their dishes, you have to cook your food, and then you have to clean it again. So that's something that takes up a lot of time, and a lot of the times people forget that they're sharing a space, so they're supposed to do their part and maintain the cleanliness and stuff. So that was something that I struggled with a lot. I really like to keep everything really clean, but in the beginning I didn't really care much because I was just super into my college and exploring new places and stuff like that. So yeah, I didn't really pay much attention to that part that time. Not that I didn't keep my surroundings clean. Anytime I would get the chance, I would do so. I would take the opportunity and clean. But yet, some people would say that I don't do my duty, and there is no proof because I would sweep. So one time I swept right after I came from college. I swept the floor, and they were like, okay, they didn't see any difference. And then a few days later, they were like, Shareen doesn't do her duties. And I'm like, how do I make you believe that I completed my part? So that was kind of frustrating. So yeah, these little things, when you're going through them, it doesn't really make an impact. But if it keeps happening, if it keeps recurring, then it sort of starts impacting your mental health. At least for me, it did. So if you're like mentally strong, super strong, and if you already anticipated it, then kudos to you. I mean, you'll do great. But for a person like me who didn't really anticipate any such thing, and then all of a sudden you're thrown into this pool of mess, it is a huge surprise, and it gets hard to handle. So one time I remember there was this fight, and among all of their roommates, and my mental health took a turn. I had to take a moment to breathe. Luckily, at that time, I had my friends that I made in the house. They are still my best friends till this date, and I can never forget their help. And they're like day ones. Shout out to Pradeep Paji and Vikram. So yeah, there's a lot more, but I'm not gonna mention each and every person. But yeah, just the main ones who pulled me through. And yeah, so when they saw that I needed a breather, they took me out, and even and then they called another friend of mine who's Raghu Paji, shout out. Um, so yeah, these are the main people that helped me get through that situation. So they took me out for a breather, and we went to Tim Hortons and sat there. It was in the middle of the night. Like, it wasn't even daytime. So there's not many places that are open at midnight, obviously. But luckily, this Tim Hortons was open, and we went there. And so we just kind of talked and just kind of sat there and relaxed, I would say. So yeah, that was one of the experiences that I had that really impacted me for the first time ever since I came to Canada. And then after that, there were a lot of other experiences, but yeah, this is like the major one. Another incident that happened was when COVID hit, and some of us were switched to work from home, including myself. So there was this kind of a tricky boundary with my roommate. So with her, she was a frontline worker, so she would still work in the store and would come back home. And as opposed to me, I was just studying from home and also working from home, so I never really got out. But that created a problem. So when it was her time to take rest or take a nap during the day was exactly when I was working. So it kind of clashed. The timing, it kind of clashed, and it created a lot of mess. So but yeah, eventually I had to leave the house because yeah, we weren't able to reach to a solution. It wasn't really working for me because there were 12 other people in the house, and obviously you need an isolated place, like a silent place to work if you're working from home. So my job required that. So yeah, that was another incident where I had to where I was put into a position of dilemma, I would say. So yeah, that was my other my second incident. The third one was when I moved the house. I moved to this apartment, and again, there was this other roommate. Luckily, this time I had my own room because I had so much. I had enough at that time, and so I just decided to get my own room. Now, a lesson for those who are looking to come here, or if you're just curious in general, if you want to know about the experience, if you want to have your own room, be prepared to shell out a little extra from your pocket. It is rare, like it is absolutely extremely rare if you're able to find a place which is friendly with the pocket and also your own. Those two things cannot really go together. So yeah, if you want, you pick your poison. If you want to save some money, you have to share the room and you have to share the place. But if you're like, if you have quite enough saved up, if you're working a good job, if you're getting good money, then sure, go ahead and you can have your own space. But yeah, for those of you who are currently in the struggling stage, I promise you it's gonna get better. When you get a better job, you can certainly, obviously, move to a better place, like to your own, even your own apartment. You won't even have to share the apartment with anybody else. So yeah, in this case, I had to share the apartment with another girl, and she was again more experienced than me, older than me, and also from a different background than mine. But we got along well, I would say. But in the beginning, though, not towards the end. Towards the end of my term, things didn't really work out. I had to leave, and yeah, it was again about maintaining cleanliness, and and it was COVID at that time, so she was concerned that people are coming into the house. I just had 2 friends at that time, and they would just come to see me every once in a while, and she just didn't really like that, so I had to move my house because she was scared of COVID. And so, I mean, I was scared too, but you can't really live in isolation for not for long. So yeah, it was just 2 friends who would come to visit every once in a while. It was not like I was having parties every day. But yeah. So yeah, but I was happy to move out, and I was really happy at that place when I moved in there in that apartment, because 1, there were not a lot of people, and 2, it was silent. So yeah, those were all of my experiences. Now I would like to share some lessons that I learned, and I hope these lessons help you out. They kind of set your expectation according to this situation. So yeah, one of the lessons that I learned is always get your own stuff, like get your own groceries, have your own utensils. If they're like, even if they push you, even if they say that no, it's no problem, you can use my stuff, don't do it. I mean, not to look rude, but sometimes what if you accidentally damage their stuff? Like, you never know. So if and it could be anything. It could be the utensils, it could be the groceries, it could be anything that you use. Unless you really, really need it and you can't find an alternative, don't use other people's stuff. I guess this is like a really basic teaching, a really basic lesson, but yeah, you just learn it the hard way sometimes. Yeah, don't use other people's stuff as long as you absolutely need it. And the second lesson I would say would be to be so strong mentally, to be so stable that you're not moved by anybody else's opinions, that their nuisance doesn't bother you. In my case, the first house that I mentioned, where I was living with 12 people, I used to study no matter what. I would open up my books, I would open up my laptop and just plug in my headphones and just study and focus on what needs to be done. Even if they were dancing outside really loud, playing really loud music, or cooking, or somebody's talking to their family, it was a mess. It was a chaos, and yet I would sit there in my room and just study. Lesson number 2 would be, again, don't rely on somebody too much. Like, if you don't know how to cook, learn. Just learn how to cook. I learned from YouTube, the most part of it, and you can do it too. It's really, really easy. And nowadays we have the YouTube shorts, and you have TikTok and stuff like that. I don't really use TikTok, but a lot of people just post their recipes there in a little clip. You can learn it from there, or learn it from a good roommate if you have one. But yeah, just don't 100% rely on somebody. Yeah, so that was my lesson number 2. Lesson number 3 would be, don't share your personal details with other people. Like you have your SIN number. The very first thing that you get when you land here, you get your SIN number. It's like an identity number. It's tied to your passport, or you just get this paper and it has kind of your identity number. It's similar to, for those of you who are listening to this in India, it's similar to the Aadhaar card. So yeah, it's kind of like an identity. You have to keep it confidential. Don't share it with anybody over the phone or even in an email. Don't keep pictures of it either in your phone. You don't really need it unless your employers ask for it, because they're the only ones who can ask for it, I think. Yeah, other than your bank. So yeah. That is lesson number 3, to not share your personal stuff with anybody. Your personal details. Just do it with one person, like not the SIN number, but your phone number and your other personal details, like your email address and stuff. You can do it with one of your trusted roommates, but not with everybody else. Lesson number 4 would be to help everyone. Help them, but don't expect anything in return. I think this applies to all aspects in life again, but specifically when you're outside of a country, we're all seeking help in the initial days, so I think you should always give back when your chance comes. So yeah, always help people out, even if you don't have the resources. You try to find it, and you do what's best. You do the best that you can, but make sure when you're helping other people that you don't cause a loss to yourself is what I would say. Like, don't do it at the expense of your health, or like there are a lot of examples, and I think it would be a lot better if we had another person. Like, you would be able to understand this a lot better in the upcoming episodes when I get more guests who can share their experiences. And also in the upcoming episodes, we're going to be talking about Canada's housing market and how the new people coming in, whether it be an international student, whether it be somebody who came for a job, how they're looking for houses, but there isn't any. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that a lot more. Yeah, so the next lesson would be, if you are sharing spaces, be mindful of the other person as well. Like, you have to respect their space as well. Even if you guys are sharing the space, you should, at the part that you can do, you should make sure that you maintain cleanliness, and a lot of the times I've seen people would, so one of my friends who was sharing his rooms, he was sharing his room with another guy, and the other guy would always talk at night, because that's when it's morning in India, and he would talk inside the room. And then my friend, who was supposed to work in the morning, he would obviously have to sleep early at night, like let's say at 10 or 11, because he had to wake up at like 6 or 7 a.m., I believe, and leave for work. But because of this other roommate, and because of him talking at night, it caused a lot of chaos in his sleeping schedule. So, I'm not saying that you shouldn't talk at night. I mean, you do if you have to. You do you. But if you have to do so, then I think it doesn't really cost you anything to be polite. You could do so, like you could step out, or you could just talk at a lower volume maybe. Just be mindful of the other person, because they have to get up in the morning and work. And I'm not just saying this because I'm I'm not saying this in favor of my friend. I'm not giving a biased decision, but I think if this were to happen with me, and if I was a roommate who was talking at night, and if I saw that my roommate has to sleep because they have to go to work in the morning, then I would silently just step out without disturbing, and I would continue with my talk. Because you give respect, you get respect. I think it's as simple as that. So yeah, those were all of my lessons that I learned from this experience, and I hope you really enjoyed listening to it. If you did, again, like I said, please leave us a rating. Please complete the poll if you're listening to this on Spotify. And we're going to end the episode with the quote of the day, and that is going to be, "All that glitters is not gold." And the Hindi translation would be, "Chamakne wali har cheez sona nahi hoti." And with that, we're signing off, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.